Published 12:08 EDT, the 27th of October 2017. Updated 12:08 EDT, the 27th of October 2017. It was on the west coast of Sweden that Mike Costello seized the chance to emulate his broadcasting heroes, Ron Pickering and David Coleman. While working for the BBC World Service in Gothenburg during the 1995 World Athletics Championships, he recorded himself culling races and sent the tapes back home to be assessed. The gamble paid off. Costello was chosen to commentate on the Olympic Games in Atlanta for the BBC the following year and has been BBC Radio 5 Live's boxing and athletics correspondent since 2006. Mike Costello joined the BBC aged 16 and is now 5 Live's boxing and athletics correspondent. The softly spoken commentator earned his break at the 1995 World Athletics Championships. Martin Tyler, Sky Sports. He's got it right so often and he brings gravitas and excitement when it's necessary but doesn't overplay the excitement. That's key. John Murray 5 Live brilliantly descriptive both in terms of what's happening in the match but what's happening around the stadium. Darren Fletcher, BT Sport. He sounds more energetic and younger than Tyler, but there is an audience for that. You wouldn't want every commentator to sound the same of the Agnew Test match special when he has to rise and produce the sports commentary rather than the sports comment. He flits brilliantly between one and the other, and one from yesteryear. Harry Carpenter, BBC, demonstrated the real art of television commentary in that the words and the pictures are every bit as important as each other. I don't think anyone has matched him since. Yet he is so softly spoken that I have to move the microphone closer to him, fearing it won't pick up the answers from one of the most recognizable voices in sport. The 57-year-old admits he still feels nervous before a big event and has never come away not wishing I'd said something I haven't. It is not unlike how you feel with a big exam coming up at school, he explains. It's a bit daunting or frightening. But if you do the right amount of homework you do go in feeling rounded, feeling prepared and feeling more confident. That's exactly the same as a football match or a big fight. It's that apprehension that keeps his mind agile. If you're not interested or excited by what you're seeing, how can you expect the listener or the viewer to be excited, he adds. On television it's key to supplement the pictures with your words, but on radio you're painting the pictures for the listeners and trying to put things into context for them. Invariably down the years there have been mistakes, of course, like footballers, boxers, athletes themselves. Costello does not believe Super Saturday during the 2012 Olympics will ever be topped. It is not unlike how you feel with a big exam coming up at school, he says of commentary. Never do they get every match or race of the season right. You just have to try and make sure that the big ones work. The way I look at Joe Calzaghe, Anthony Joshua, Mo Farah, if you worked as hard as that in any profession, you would be pretty successful, trying to convey the right mix of excitement and insight as Farah, Greg Rutherford and Jessica Ennis won Olympic gold medals on Super Saturday at London 2012 was the highlight of Costello's 4 decades in broadcasting. I can't imagine that will ever be topped, says the veteran of 7 Olympic Games, who joined the BBC aged 16 with just 2 O-levels to his name. Yet events do not come much bigger than Floyd Mayweather's bout with Conor McGregor in August. The matchup between the boxer and the UFC king attracted much skepticism and scorn, but after 300,000 people rerouted from the BBC's live text service to Costello's radio commentary, it was a fight that also illustrated the enduring power of radio, some 90 years after the first sports commentary was broadcast on the wireless. Costello will be ringside when Anthony Joshua takes on Carlos Takam on Saturday night. The commentator was talking to Sportsmail reporter Daniel Matthews at Broadcasting or saying the last 4 or 5 years you would have heard many people opining that this move to online is going to kill radio when, in fact, on that particular occasion it actually boosted it and we're seeing more and more of that, he says. I think that's a surprise to a lot of people, old and new media working so well together. Costello will be ringside, too, when Anthony Joshua faces Carlos Takam in Cardiff on Saturday night. Having unified the heavyweight division in 19 professional bouts, Joshua is already one of Britain's biggest stars. But how good can he become? I don't think anyone knows. His rate of improvement is truly staggering, Costello says. It sounds like a trite phrase, but it's up to him how motivated he stays, whether he blows out like a Mike Tyson or whether he stays around virtually forever like a Vladimir Klitschko. Costello, ringside at Hughie Fury vs. Joseph Parker, has covered dozens of world title fights, he says of heavyweight king Anthony Joshua. His rate of improvement is truly staggering. Seems to me to be someone who is very aware of how big he could become and how huge his legacy could be. Costello is a judge in 5 Live's Young Commentator of the Year competition, which is open to 11-15-year-olds. The winner will get a taste of life behind the microphone and a foot in the door of a highly competitive industry. Costello said a lot of people like me might feel that all the doors are closed and it's not something I could do and I will never reach the level of a John Motson or a Martin Tyler, but there are ways in. Everyone has a different way in and this is a great start, a great way to get noticed very early on. This, for me, would have been a dream. To enter the BBC Young Commentator of the Year competition, just go to www.bbc.co.uk Young Commentator by Friday the 27th of October. The competition is open to 11-15-year-olds.